Hit record first. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Level Up Together. Today is March 10th, and let me share my screen here. And today we are going to, today we're going to continue working on healing attitudes. And then some people asked about the level one testing, if I could share some things. So we can just talk about that. Jason had asked about it last week, so hopefully he'll show up. And with that said, this meeting is being recorded. By participating, you're giving me the consent to record you, and the recordings will be shared via YouTube on the level one group. I'm a level four practitioner, and I'm here as your host because all our perspectives, insights, and wisdoms, and learnings and examples are here to help each other, help all of us grow together and level up together in life. So let's get started. Last week we stopped at the number 28. So I'm on page 131 in my book of level one manual. So we will start at the number 29 today. So whoever would like to start reading, you can start reading. Hey Sasha, good to see you.
So you just read one? I don't know how you do it, so tell me.
We just read one and then we just discuss it and then get on to the next one.
Okay, so I'll read
Okay.
29. We
Yes,
have
please.
we have life strategies or patterns, which are inner guidelines that govern how we interact with the external world. And for me, the more that I am involved in this, it's so like you can see those patterns. Like I can really see them. And like I can even sometimes know they're going to come up. And that's my opportunity to either say nothing, which that's a good thing sometimes for me, or to just, get into it. But I'm learning about not. I've always thought that if I didn't stand up for myself, that I looked like I've never been a doormat, but I mean, like, I always felt like I needed to stand up for myself. And a lot of times, what that looked like was in an angry, push against kind of way, not just standing up for yourself. You know what I mean? You're either right or you're wrong. No, we're just all trying to live our lives without the upset that we cause ourselves. I don't know
Yes.
if that made any
Yeah,
sense, but
definitely. Thank you.
I
Yeah.
looking at the patterns that we have from, like I can see my mom's patterns, I can see my patterns, I can see what I passed on. That blows my mind because we don't look at ourselves like that until we start doing this work. And grateful, that I can
Yes.
have this.
Thank you. Yes. Anyone else would like to share anything on that? Yeah, definitely. It's just so predicted. And every time, sometimes we get sucked into it and then it becomes so important and it becomes the, thing that we have to do this. And then in the hindsight, oh, it was just my pattern again. Hello. you know? Yeah, because it's like all these things become so important for, like so important and this is what life is. But when we come out of it, it's like, oh, that's just my pattern that I learned and you know, that's
And it
not
wasn't
what's
really that important in the first place. It
no,
was to
it never
somebody that,
was.
it was to somebody that taught us that. It was important that they teach us
Yeah,
that. But for us does it work in our life? No, it didn't work.
yes,
Stop
it
it.
didn't work. Exactly. Hey Sherry, welcome.
Hi, Sherry.
All right. So, Sherry, we are on page 131 in the level one manual, and we just read the number 29. Any other insights on that? Hey, Tammy,
Hello.
welcome.
Thanks.
Hi. Hey, we are on page 131 and Healing Attitudes number 29. All right. Kenneth, did you want to share anything?
Just say that we're fortunate to know about this because most people go through their life and don't even have a choice. They're just going around and round, not even knowing they're like asleep, just going through trance and here to that. Whereas as now, if you stay aware, you can catch these things and go, wait a minute, wait a minute, doing that again, change that. So that's more that is 29 is very significant because it says governs how we interact with the external world. Well, that's kind of important. So uh, so that's all part of what we're doing here. So just like I would underline that as one of the most important things.
Yeah,
Strategies.
certainly. And then also how we interact with the outer world, the external world, then the world will interact with us, and then that's a back and forth, just push and pull instead of, us living our best life creatively, helping others, contribution. It just we get stuck in these strategies and patterns, and then the way we are interacting and then the world is interacting, we just
Mhm.
get stuck in this loop, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And sometimes
definitely.
people that don't know this don't even know they're in a loop.
So,
And that's scary, not knowing that you're, because I didn't know I was, and it was just always the same, and it kept being the same, and it kept being the same, and how, what am I going to do, and how am I supposed to change it? But knowing that, hey, I'm doing this, I've learned this is a pattern that I do. Oh, look at, I can see mom right in this pattern. Then there's some kind of relief in it to know that I can get better, that I can do better, I can be better from, for my life. So
True.
thank you.
I was just thinking I was in my 20s and my parents would have these arguments, right? So I used to number them. And so they were in the middle of an argument. I went, wait, 1 second. I call this argument number two. This is number two. You have three. This is number two. You'll never resolve it this way. Continue.
So true. All right, anyone else? If not, we can move on to number 30. Yeah. Who would like? Hey, Sasha.
Okay. Those who have more strategies and versatility in their life will have greater success and happiness. Um, and it's funny because it's like I got really sick last year, and I've been going through a lot of different modalities, and it at different stages of my recovery, different modalities have been, really good for me. And so I really like the new tactics because it's a combination of a lot of the different modalities that I use kind of rolled into one a little bit more quick. But before I was like really scared of emotion, having strong emotions and stuff like that. And now I'm like, okay, I'll feel it, but I'm not gonna be stuck there. I don't feel like I'm just gonna be dragged by, the strong emotion. I could feel it and I can let it go and I can process it. And so there's like a certain sense of freedom in that. Because you're not trying to mitigate whether you're gonna have the emotion or not. You accept it, you move it, and you carry on with your life. Um, so I feel that it just makes me more proactive in the things that I want to do because I don't get stopped by, oh, I'm going to feel this way, you know?
So true. Thank you. Definitely. Yeah. We have lots of strategies and we can have lots of modalities, just move through life. Anyone else?
I, I'll talk. So
Please.
what I found being on this being sick, I was sick for 14, 15 days. I finally today am feeling, oh, I actually got up and did my, my nods at least. Didn't do my full on exercise, but I'm starting to do something. And that right there, I'm happy about. So one thing Robert always says, the most versatile one in the room wins. Okay, because if you can shift and pivot and do something else or think a different thought or go a different direction, then instead of just staying there stuck. Being sick, I started to go, I don't know, it was halfway through this sickness. I started feeling, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I can start. My world's crushing. My world's over. I'm going to be sick for the rest of my life. I'm never going to feel good again. All that stuff. And I wanted to cry. I did. And then I said, wait a minute, why are you crying? Because you have choices here, Kathy. You can either go down that rabbit hole because you're really, really familiar with it. And that's what I found out. It's because I'm so familiar with it. It's where my mind wants, that's where I go. I go to the upset, the meltdown, everything is horrible in my life. And then I said, stop it. Because if you do this, then tomorrow, because I could feel that I wasn't going to be well the next day. Okay. And I said, if you're going to do this, where are you going to be in 2 weeks? You're going to be a mess. And so I was able to talk to myself through this sickness this time of, Kathy, we're not going there. You know what? You're going to get better. Life is going to be better. Things are going to be changing, but you got to I have to give myself permission to be sick because I wasn't allowing that. And once I did that, I just am getting better every day. If I allow but I have to be nice to myself. I don't really know that I've ever been nice to myself when I'm sick. It was always push yourself a little harder, keep going. Oh, you can just do this much. You know what I mean? And this time it was like, okay, I'm tired. I'm taking a little nap now. And then I'll get up and do some more. And the difference is that I don't have to climb my way out of a coffin today because of all the bad thoughts that I put myself in. So, I mean, I'm just still getting well, but my head feels good. I feel happy to be here. I showed up. Okay, that's where I am. I showed up. That's
Perfect. Thank you. Definitely. Just a different strategy. A strategy to love yourself a little bit more.
it. Correct.
Yes. Anyone else? Hey, Sherry.
Hey, yeah, I was thinking, those that have more strategies, once upon a time, I think I only had one. And I didn't even know there was a world out there that there could be more strategies. It was what it was all programmed into my subconscious. What do you want to, ever you want to call it, my childhood, the way I'd always been doing things. And I have to be aware that that's my default. And I'm constantly having to tell myself, no, you can do it this way now. You have a lot more strategies. And I find that in particular with all the memories I've changed, I had this Think Up app where I put my changed memories in so I can listen to them. And I've got so far, I've got 45, 46 new memories in there. And I know there are still some, I go to the default. And so I'm having to constantly remind myself, no, this is what really happened. This new thing, that's the real you. And one of the ways I connect with that is I say to myself, if this were the present me in that old memory, I would do it the new memory way. Does that make sense? I mean, that's my strategy. I know that had this person today been that 10-year-old, boy, I would have done it exactly like I rewrote it. And that's my strategy. And that's what I'm choosing to do more and more. I'm not really as good at it as I want, but at least it's just a whole new world. I don't know if I feel like I'm rambling and not making a lot of sense.
No, you're not. It makes total sense.
Okay.
Because that's the new strategy now. Yeah.
Yeah. And I really have to apply it to my memory changes. Because I still have a little bit of battle of the old one comes up and I know, no, this is the way it was. So
So with each memory changes, as each memory changes, you are creating a whole new identity. And so
Yes.
you're taking this new identity and you're going to the other memories, like I'm showing up with this new identity with a new strategy, and how can I change this?
Mhm.
So you're, creating more strategies with a new identity to change your memories. And
Right,
then that will also show up in your future.
because I have a new strategy for that memory. It was the strategy I had with the original one was not good. But my new strategy is fantastic.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to focus in on it's just a new strategy, Sherry. This is a real you. Take it back, take it now, take it forward. That's your strategy. Now, anyway, that's
Great
my
job.
2 cents.
Love it. Thank you. I think that's a really good way of looking at it. Anyone else would like to share? Martina, welcome. We are on page 131 of level 1 manual about theirs. And we just read number 30,
Thank
healing
you. I
attitudes.
have not the book with me. I'm in a room where I'm not normally, so I
No
haven't
problem.
thought so long. Perhaps you can say about the subject, not the numbers, but the subject.
Yeah, we're reading the healing attitudes. There in the back of the book, there's 50 healing attitudes. So we're just
Okay,
reading
thank
through
you.
it. Yes, and please feel free to participate and share your insights and wisdoms and examples. All right. Anyone else? Anything else on the number 30? If not, who would like to read number 31? Tori?
Awesome. Number 31, we all have the resources we need to create positive or negative changes.
Mhm.
I think that's really true. You can definitely, with all this, like you can make a lot of positive ones, or if you decide to, you can make a lot of negative ones as well. But the more resources makes it easier to choose either one because you have the power to do it.
Mhm. Thank you. And those resources are our strategies.
Mhm.
Definitely. Anyone else? We have known the negative ones from the past. So, hey, Tammy.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because I remember being a level 1 and I was like, why does he keep talking about resources? I don't get it. What is resources? And now I just realize that it's just whatever we see, hear, feel, taste, touch, nose, sense. It's that internal um, holdings, I guess. So when it says we have all the resources we need, and I remember thinking, like, well, yeah, of course, I know how to do this and I know how to do that because that's been done to me. But then to think of like, if we know the color purple and we know what an elephant looks like, we can create a purple elephant. So it's all the resources means, if we saw Beaver Cleaver's mom and our mom's like uh, narcissistic, whatever people think about their mom in a bad way, if they see her as a selfish, mean, nasty, just out to get them person. But we've seen Beaver Cleaver or some other mom that's really super nice, then we can actually use that resource to our benefit. So I think this is so pivotal for us getting more control in our life over what results we get.
Okay, thank you. Love your purple elephant example. How many, how
I mean, because
many,
people be like, I can't do that. My mom wasn't nice, or I can't do that. My car was in an accident or something. Well, if you've seen a car wasn't in an accident, you can make it a different color, make it sparkle, make it shine, do something that helps that resource feel different. So
Exactly. Exactly.
we
I
can
know.
actually either make positive changes or negative changes based on those resources.
Yeah. Yeah. And we all do have positive resources. We have seen it somewhere, so might as well create it for ourselves.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to share anything? Hey, Sherry.
Okay, I think this is a good time to remember that our subconscious is an intelligent idiot. It doesn't know or care that, because right now I'm seeing a purple elephant, but my subconscious doesn't care that there's not one out there in the real world, you know? So I just got this beautiful purple elephant in my mind right now. And, then to take Tammy's other example, because, I did have a narcissistic mother. I never thought about making her Beaver Cleaver's mother. But I'm kind of melding that right now. What if she was? What if my mother was Mrs. Cleaver? I mean, why not? The intelligent idiot does not care what I put up there. It's my choice.
And
So
exactly.
Mhm.
And I feel like the more I keep working on changing mom's memories, like all the times, like these looking at other people and it's like, oh, I'm so glad my mom raised me the way she did. And it's like, and I'm like grateful for her every day. And I'm like surprised, like, really? Is that really happening? But, the more we are changing our resources, we're taking away that resistance and, making a better picture of mom, having better resources for mom. And then we're actually seeing in real life how what she did was, I wouldn't have wanted it any other way, usually. So it's really amazing.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, number 32, who would like to read? Hey, Tammy.
All right, my book says what you resist persists. So make peace with it, and then you are free.
Yes.
And I find that in working with clients, they'll be like, but I don't want this. That's what we all initially say when it's like, well, what would you like? Well, I don't want, to be yelled at. I don't want to be overweight. I don't want my hair falling out. I don't want this illness anymore. So what are you resisting is that the thing? That's the thing you're resisting, like what you don't want. And so interestingly, a lot of times it's like set up that resistance so strongly that you decide it's not benefiting you. Does that make sense?
Yes. It totally does. Yes.
Because we think if we like right now my daughter's struggling with breastfeeding her child and he's 4 weeks old now and it's just kind of been this like ebb and flow and difficulties and things and it's so easy for her to just say, well, he's going to have to do this and have to do that. I'm not doing formula, So the resistance in not doing formula is actually helping to cause problems that drive her to that. So then
Yeah.
you have to ask like, well, if formula is the worst thing, then what is that resistance creating?
Yes, it is. Definitely. It is creating more upsets and stuff, right? But
Yeah.
there could be other options that,
Stress.
how about we have lots
Yeah.
of different resources, because if it's breastfeeding or formula, then it's just like, what are the other options?
Yeah.
Definitely.
And the resistance to having it be that is driving her brain to only think about that option. So that's
Definitely.
the gold right there in somebody's mind, right?
Good.
Oh,
Definitely. Well, Tammy, congratulations.
oh, thank you.
I had
Yeah,
no
it's been
idea.
fresh. She's a great mom. She's doing great. It's just that fear drives our bus.
Yeah. Resistance. Hey, Sherry. Yes.
And Tammy, did you know that goat's milk is much like breast milk?
Actually, my great grandmother, they tell the story over and over of how she would have died without goat's milk. And yeah,
Yeah.
that is an option too.
Just put
And
that
she's found some moms because she had a midwife, so she found some moms that had extra milk, and she's actually been supplementing with other people's milk.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah,
That's great.
different times
Yes.
than when it was like, oh, gross or something, but it's a wonderful gift. So
My granddaughter
Beautiful.
just got done breastfeeding, and she was supplying milk for 6 other children also. She had so much. And so
Oh
she
that's
my
how
goodness.
I was like,
Yeah.
it's pouring out of all directions.
And now that's over.
Six.
That period's over with it. But it was like she got to help some other moms, Good feeling.
Wow, 6 kids though. That's amazing. So yeah, there are lots of options, and part of it's he might have a lip tie, so they're considering a little surgery for him and stuff. But it opens up our eyes when we stop just that's the only thing that we're resisting. It just feels kind of like the opposite, right? Feels like we
I think
should
when there was,
resist.
yeah,
It feels like we should be resisting the thing we don't want. And then we have to kind of accept it and then let it go. And then
Yeah.
new horizons open up.
exactly. I think when we have the resistance and we don't see all the options, we don't see what's out there. I
Yeah.
had a person, they are like 60, and I don't think they've ever done any self-healing work. I mean, I shouldn't be the one to judge, but they wanted to talk about, like see what they can do. And this person was so stuck and oh, you mean if I change memories, that will make it all better? And the more, it didn't matter how much we talked about it, much matter how much I told them about what it really means, they were stuck. Just resistance, resistance, resistance. Like, I don't think this is right for me because all this happened to me. And, so there was no room for any of this to take place because they just were stuck on their, you know, proving and justifying themselves. And when that happens, there is no room for any good to come in. It was just full of resistance. And so it was a really interesting case, certainly. But when they're ready, they will, wherever they find it, hopefully they find that healing because their life hasn't been working in any area of their life. But they were like, I don't understand. Just to have a good partner, why do I have to go and, heal mom and heal with my sister and my dad and all my school and this and that? Yeah.
And then there's
So
that tough question that, I mean, lots of different modalities ask, like, how's it working for you to not do that, right? Like,
exactly.
could you be open to the experiment of
I know.
show up?
Definitely. Yeah, not open at all. So
Yeah.
it's just one of those things, what you resist persists, and then unless she makes peace with it, she's not free. She's just gonna be stuck in that place.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
It is options. It opens up so many options once that resistance is
I
melted
know.
away like butter
Yeah.
on hot sun in a hot sun.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, Sherry.
Yeah, and what you said a minute ago when you were talking about your mom, you've made peace with it.
Yeah,
You stopped resisting, you made peace, and now you feel so much freer. And
I do.
And that's a really good example of that. And I'm really thankful for this question today because I thought I'm going to think on this today. What am I resisting? I think it's a good question to ask all the time. What am I resisting that keeps manifesting in my life?
Yeah.
And some areas like, I have this particular pain in my leg, and I'm like, how am I resisting that? I want it fixed. I want to be able to lift this leg like my other leg, blah, 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 blah. So I obviously, and it's going on and on and on. So obviously I'm resisting the healing because my body's perfectly capable of healing itself. I know that. So what is it about it that I'm resisting? Maybe I need to go to the Art of Change questions. What benefit am I getting from this? And
Yeah.
just look at, and I thought, well, that's one area. I think I can think of 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 more today that I might, because I'm not getting the results that I want. That means I'm resisting. So I think it's just a really good, I'm very, very happy that I got in a time to look at this number 32. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, Martina.
I don't know if I can explain it in my little words because I'm German. I thought with all the clients I had that resistance is always asking for, I don't ask anymore for the profit. I ask for the fear behind. There is a lot of fear behind. I don't know. It's like changing brings up a lot of fear because it has a lot of this big of unknown. And this unknown makes this resistance. What will be if I can have all my life in full potential and all of that? This is so amazing, great idea that it's sometimes better to be, I don't know if I can stand this. In a way, I don't know if you understand what I want to say, but that what I'm remarking is very often they have fear. And what you said before this, but I have proof it was this way. They have this idea of we will take it away, but this has nothing to do with to take it away. It's just how you can manage the future in another way. Yeah.
Yeah. And why is there fear behind it? Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. I
Mhm.
agree. Yeah. The first thing would be to work through the fear.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people cannot connect with the payoff, because like, oh, there's nothing good about this.
But with the
Yeah.
fear, you have a little door.
Yeah. You have a
With
little
the
door.
profit, I have not, or you say benefit, I have not so often opened a door. So I thought perhaps I change it in another way. And with the fear, I have a little bit open a door because with fear we can deal because we have a lot of fear.
Yeah,
More than
I
we are
agree.
than we are thinking. A lot, yeah. And it's all in the deepest way is this. It's like in spiritual ways. It's so unknown that whoa, stop. I know my little world, so I will stay in my little world, and what there is outside, I don't know. So this is my picture. I always paint in a little way to tell them perhaps it's nice outside, and we can experience it in a little way. So yeah.
Yeah. And then also like ties to the strategies, the little life strategies and patterns, and that's all we know. But the more strategies we have in our life, we can, step out and then see, oh, what other strategy we have? What can we experience? But those fears keep us from stepping into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I like that one a lot. Thank you. Mhm. Anyone else?
I have one other thing. It's
Yes,
interesting how
please.
Robert does this, we watch him, but we don't always even notice it. Like maybe for Sherry, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna be on crutches and in a wheelchair the rest of your life." Like that's what you're resisting.
Yeah.
And he makes it kind of light in a joke and then let it go, let it go, let it go, right? But there's the mind is following that train of thinking when we have something going on in our life that we're just always thinking of the worst part, but we're kind of unaware of it. We're like preparing for it, but not willing to admit it.
Yes,
Isn't
definitely.
that true?
And there's also that component of, well, what if it doesn't heal?
Right.
Yeah.
And then you will be in a wheelchair. So what are you resisting? Being in a wheelchair. So just
Yeah.
imagine being in a wheelchair because you're already doing it in your head. You're just not always fully aware of that. And then let it go, right? So
It comes down to, I can't fix it. I want to fix it. Take a magic nutrient, take a magic treatment, take a blah, blah, blah. I want to fix it externally, not
yeah.
internally.
Hmm.
Just,
Yeah.
It's interesting, like just experiment with it because our bodies, like all of a sudden you might find the little key and be like, oh, I was resisting just what, what the worst thing that you can imagine. In my group, there was a lady who she was obviously very wealthy, but I think she had either stopped a business and I'm pretty sure she's on all the videos because they had a good time up there rewriting this one. But all of a sudden she's like, she had a twin, that's what it was. Ah, can't remember all the stuff, but apparently she was going to have to tell her twin that she was homeless because in her head, what was she resisting was, I'm just going to be homeless. And we're all like, yeah, this lady's never going to be homeless. Like she is very affluent, you could tell. And, but in her mind, there was the resistance to ever being homeless. So you're like, yeah, he's like, yeah, you're just a homeless bag lady. And then she just started laughing her head off. Is that in your training?
Yes.
And
Yes, I remember that.
that's the resistance, right? There's a piece of us that thinks of the worst scenario, but we won't just let our head go there and laugh it off. Our brain
Yeah,
let us do that.
definitely.
So in the
Yes.
back of the mind, it's always going there.
Yeah. Back of the mind. Yeah. And then once we consciously become conscious of what we're resisting, then
Of
we
how
can
silly
see
it is.
the absurdity. Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, I don't need to resist that. And then we can release it. Yeah.
Right. I just thought of a couple things that I'm resisting.
I know, right? All right. Next one. Let's see. Number 33. Who would like to read? Victoria?
Took a second to unmute. Emotional issues or traumas that are buried or ignored have an unconscious control in your life. They will express themselves in the future in an uglier way. I think that's really true. I don't know. I definitely had some emotional issues or traumas that happened during my childhood, and like during my early 20s, they definitely popped back up and in just not fun ways. And learning to like, that's why part of the reason I joined this program was to unlearn those things.
Yeah. Come up in an uglier way. Definitely. Yeah. And definitely the buried or ignored ones because, we don't know. We're not aware consciously. And a lot of times, and they just pop up and we don't even know where they're coming from. So, yeah, as we keep working through that. Kathy, did you have to say something?
Yeah,
Please.
because I'm not even sure that mine were buried or ignored. Okay. I think I knew I had, you know what I mean? I've always known that something is not right, like especially like at 5 and at 15 for me. And at 15, I was just in my mind just nuts. That's all there was to it. No one wanted to talk about the stuff that I wanted to talk to. Like I tried to engage kids that were 15 to, are you having these feelings? I'm feeling like no one had them. I was the only one that was feeling like that because no one else was willing to even say, I'm having that same stuff too. And now today I know other people had it too. But so what I did was I threw myself into work for the next 15, 20 years after that. And I mean, just if I would get to the lull of things started bothering me, I'd amp up my work because it kept it masked. I didn't have to look. And then when I quit working, everything came up. You know what I mean? And I mean, I had to deal or I was going to die. And I'm glad that I chose not to die over all this. But it's amazing to find that we have that control. Like I had that control of I was not going to let that up. I mean, I was probably stepping on those problems, pushing them every chance I could because I didn't want to, that was too, there was a lot of fear there looking at that stuff. And today it's just, I would be happy, but you know what, if stuff comes up, I just know that if I go through it, I will get through it. If I could just take those steps, because if I don't, there's a fine line. I just feel like there's a fine line on which way I'm going to go. And if I keep heading towards the positive, I'm going to be okay. But like I said, like when I was getting sick, but I have to remind myself, Kathy, you're okay. You're going to be okay. This isn't your whole world of being sick and nobody cares. And don't they know you're sick and all this stuff? You know what I mean? No, you're sick, get well and move on. And, so grateful that we are able to come out from behind that. Like I don't have to pretend I'm okay all the time. I don't have to do that anymore. If I'm not, I mean, I know it and the people around me probably know it, but I'm working on something. I'm not just trying to stay there anymore and just, push people away.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because when we ignore or bury it, like, you did with work, or if you're sick, you're trying to ignore it, and then it's
it
not
just gets
going to heal.
bigger.
It gets bigger. Yeah. Thank you, Thank you, Kathy, so much. Anyone else would like to share anything on that?
I
Martina?
think what is so difficult, what Toreen was saying, is that sometimes, not only sometimes, very often, people don't know. They have triggers, they have reactions, they have symptoms, but they don't know because the box is closed because of this fear. What was there, or please don't remember protecting and all this. And this makes it really difficult to come nearer and nearer, and with all the love we have for these persons, so that they can open up and remember what was underlying that. I don't know if this is the right word, but there is always something under the symptom, and to find this by being near with the person, what they don't know before, that there is someone who is really interested and stays and stays and stays and is not gone tomorrow. Because I have a lot of people who were in homes for children, or who were not with their parents, or their parents had difficult strategies to say I love you. So very often I have people who are who don't know why these symptoms are there. And it starts very often with the question, what Robert said, was there someone in the family who had the same symptoms, or where did they come from? Yeah.
Fine. Or if this symptom had a voice, what would it be?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Because this
definitely.
idea, it comes up in another pair of shoes or in an uglier way. That's absolutely like it is. It's not gone when we think it's gone. Yeah.
Definitely. And like that is a link. It's like, if it came back, what made it come back? And that can help us connect with the original cause
Yeah.
we have, that we don't know what
Yeah.
caused it or where it's coming from originally, but what else is causing it, so it's like we can link it back and dig out the actual original
Hmm.
stuff. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thank you. Hey, Sherry.
Yeah, so it makes me ponder if something's buried, I mean, you don't know what it is, you don't even know that it's there, and yet it's going to have unconscious control in your life. That feels like a real, well, what the heck do I do now? Because how am I going to, this triggered, I had a memory when I was a little girl, I don't know, 3 or 4, I'd finger my dress. And I did it all the time. It was so bad, my mother took me to the doctor to find out why I did that. And this doctor, didn't know. And so, that I must have had some kind of trauma. I have no memory. I mean, I kind of remember doing that with my dress, but I don't have a memory. And it's probably a trauma of some kind, but it probably has some control in my life in some way. But I feel kind of like, well, thanks. Now what? It's got unconscious control. How am I going to get to the bottom of that when I don't even see it, know it, feel it, and here it is controlling my life? Well, thanks a lot.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I'm sure it's expressing itself. I'm clueless, just totally clueless.
What means clueless?
I don't have any idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
When we
And
have not ideas, I try to make it as a picture. Feeling something, feeling a dress has a lot to do with feeling. I can feel me by feeling a dress. There is something I can feel. So we go this line and look at what is needed to feel, because the dress is only Stellvertreter. I don't know the word in English. It's just a metaphor, perhaps, or something like that. So I always try to look what's going on in this picture, that we sometimes we do strange things, but behind there is very often something we want to feel. And so we feel a lot this dress or something else to have contact. This is, I have contact. And we go very slowly through these metaphors, what's going behind. And very often we find a lot of things afterwards. Just by dreaming a little bit in this, what does these hands are doing? They want contact to something. They want to feel something. So we are questioning a little bit what is the what can do a little child with her dress?
Thank you. It really gives me something to think about. Thank you.
Gerne.
yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's like, what is it doing for you? What does it give you for a child?
Softness, silkiness, a comfort. Yeah.
Touch. Yeah, touch.
Yeah, absolutely. Touch. That's what I wanted to say with contact. I want to be with.
And I
we
had
were very often missing that when we were child.
and I had a very
Very
cold
often missing
mother
it.
who never really held me, hugged me, kissed me, in that way. So that would make sense.
That makes a lot of sense
Yeah.
because
It's a
this is
self.
really, really, I want to feel, and there is no contact with the other person.
No.
And I want to feel something. So I take as a metaphor something I can feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like self-soothing.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Maybe you wanted to feel warm. Yeah, thanks, Tammy. Definitely. Yeah. Any other insights on that, anyone?
That was
Yeah,
really
so
good.
yeah, definitely. Thank you,
And I
Martina.
could totally see that. And Sherry, that was great for you. I mean, it's for your memory. I'm into this memory now. I guess I'm pulling up stuff of my own because I'm like, okay, because I used to do the same thing with the blankie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the softness and the cuddling, and I'd put it on my face and just have that close to me. And yeah.
That's the contact we didn't had.
Yeah. And so now the $1 million question is, how is that expressing itself today in a really ugly way? What am I doing to get that attention, that, you know,
I
that's
have a lot of people with me who have so much issues with their weight because their contact is by mouth. They have the contact here. And they have so many difficulties because they understand that they don't want it, like resistance, but they want this feeling they didn't had. They didn't have the feeling that there was someone near, that there was someone cuddling them, that there was someone kissing them. And this is the mouth who gives kisses and who is feeling a lot. That's a very deep thing to make a deviation. Is this the right word? That this can relax and this can find another strategy to be with, like havening or whatever.
Yeah.
That is excellent because many times I know for myself, I will eat, my stomach's very full, but I want that in my mouth, even though I know I'm not hungry and my stomach's saying, no, my mouth says, oh yes,
And we just think about when we were babies, this is the first contact we have to, I don't know what's the word is, to the breast, to make this,
yeah.
This is the deepest thing we have at the first days, to have contact with us. Because we only can feel by the breast of the mother. We can only feel us by the breast of the mother. And how do we learn? We only learn by experiencing something. And this was something who gives us a lot of what we wanted, what we thought we wanted. Not thinking in a real way, because little children, they don't think about it. They have to develop this, but I think you know what I mean.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really deep. Thank you, Martina.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else like to share anything on that? All right.
Very insightful, especially when you consider how many moms do struggle with breastfeeding or don't breastfeed, so they don't get that bonding and that touch on the mouth. And then we have all kinds of things, either chewing things, chewing nails, chewing pens and pencils in school. I always had my pencil in my mouth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. This starts here. It starts here. That's the first one. Then it starts with the hands. Dress, feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Well, I have to
baby.
say, I don't want to make this about me, but my mother couldn't breastfeed me and she struggled
Mhm.
with that. And she used to say, I hated it when they brought that baby, and she meant me, to her. So,
Yeah.
and I
And so
went,
you have,
without food.
yeah, and you have directly the what is behind.
Mhm, mhm.
And that you try to have contact here and with the dress and all of that because she couldn't do it better.
Mhm.
This is for me the most important thing I had because I struggled a lot when you talked about resistance. I had a big struggle with my mother when I started with Robert. I think it was near like I hate her. It was very near. And what I can, to make the way a little bit shorter today for the people, I always try to tell them when they have children and they try to do it better as their moms did. And I say always to them, think about it. Your mother did the same. She had a mother where it was really difficult and she thought she does it better. And we have to be with that. Even if it was very difficult for us. I had asthma. I was given away to a special home for children where they have another air. And I was very little. And that was really not what children need. But my mother did it because she thought it's for my asthma. And she thought that's good for her. She will be healthy afterwards. And so, and these ideas that when we try really to do it better than the other generation before, we can say this generation, even if it was not good for us, tried to do it better.
Yeah.
And it's so important to see that there is more, how do you say that? Is it Gnade? I don't know the word. To be more friendly with this strange doing of parents. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Martina. Hey, Sasha.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, just going off of what like Sherry said, um, it made me laugh because I remember my mother telling me that she couldn't breastfeed. And here I'm thinking, great, like the disappointment started from the beginning. But I didn't want to eat. Like I remember my mom telling me, I was like, nah, this isn't for me. And I actually had to get smacked a little bit and forced to actually eat. So I don't know how that goes to the whole theory of, that being soothing, because I was like, nah, I don't need it. So I don't know. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, it's very, very
And
interesting.
and just remember, these are stories, so they're auditory memories, right? Like it's words, and we know how to change those words around by using silly voices or saying it backwards or pushing it away or whatever. It's the words that we heard our mom say are still driving the bus today. That rhymed. Good. Noticing.
Noticing. Yeah. And how we are letting our lives run. So as soon as this is really good conversation because as we can like brainstorm, say, for example, on Sherry's little story of the dress, and I think we dug into some very deep stuff of how it's impacting her today. And then now it can just easily be let go because until we know it, why it was happening, then it just kind of runs our bus. As soon as we find out, we can just let it go, change the story, and drive our own bus, as Tammy said, right?
Yeah, and one more thing on Sherry's. The reason I said maybe you wanted to feel warm is because you said my mom is cold.
Oh, right.
So you needed the clothing or the extra layer of fat, or like, what is it? If she's cold, how do you make yourself warm?
Hmm.
Yeah, all of that.
Love it.
Yeah,
Yes.
question.
Yeah. Yeah, just digging into the metaphors of everything. Like, what's the metaphor? What is it really doing here?
So you're resisting being cold.
So that's why I put on a little extra layer of fat.
Exactly.
So interesting.
Be anything
Yeah.
like her. You're gonna.
Uh, never thought of that, I'll tell you right now.
Mm,
Hmm.
good job.
Yeah,
Interesting. This was really good. Thank you, everyone.
yeah.
Thank you, Shristi.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Tammy and Martina. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Kathy. And thank you, Tori. And thank you, everyone, for being here. Sasha, thank you always. So, yeah, let's get together next week and continue this because this was really good. I'm definitely going to be thinking about my metaphors today.
For sure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye, everyone. See you next
Bye.
week.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.